Welcome to the Sushi Swap Onsen AMA, where we bring on projects that have partnered through the Onsen program and give them a platform to reach a larger audience. I'm joined here today with Ganesh and Eric from Covalent. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having us.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, nice. All right, well, I'll just start off with a few questions and get to introduce you guys, and you can introduce the project a bit here, and then we can open it up to the audience, and we can get people up on stage. You can raise your hand. There's a button at the bottom so that we can bring you up, and you can ask your questions verbally. And if not, there is an AMA text questions channel. We can get you to come in there, and you can ask your questions that way. I do please ask that you keep the chatter to a minimum in there, or none actually would be the best. Target 0 so that we can focus on purely questions on for Covalent, so we don't have to sift through as we're looking for the questions there. So yeah. Well, let's get into it here. So maybe Ganesh and Eric, if you don't mind, give us a little intro, some background about you and your involvement with Covalent.
Sure, I can go first. So I'm one of the founders of Covalent. We started Covalent about 3.5 years ago because we found that blockchains are cool, but for it to really realize its potential, it has to interact with existing investments. And so we came up with this idea of a middleware that exposes a blockchain just like any other legacy database. So in a way, we're merging the Web 2 and the Web 3 spaces. So we built the initial prototype at a hackathon, ended up winning that hackathon, and started a company, a more formal organization around it. So the first couple of years were slow, bear market. Little did we know that we would start at the most inappropriate time to start a crypto company, end of 2017. 2018, 2019, slow. 2020, things really picked up for us. We became profitable as a firm, ended up raising venture capital, and the team today is about almost approaching 40 people, and we have over 300 partners. We index about a dozen blockchains, and so I think we've really done. We've been aggressively growing and delivering value over the past year. Me, myself, I'm a physicist by training. I used to work on cancer drugs for about half my career. That's actually where the word covalent comes from. Covalent bonds in chemistry is one kind of bond. And so here we're binding Web 2 and Web 3 databases and blockchains, centralized systems and decentralized systems, whatever analogy that you have. So the little Q in the logo are orbitals. The little lines in our logo is a Lorentz attractor. So we have a fun little design motif going on here. So that's me. On to you, Eric.
Yeah, thank you, Ganesh. I'll work backwards to how I got into crypto and how I ended up here. So I had a music company, a music startup years ago, and I needed to solve a royalty accounting problem so we could pay artists. If anybody wants to do a music startup and solve the royalty payment problem, I'll give you lots of ideas, and you could probably use Covalent to go do it actually. So I wanted to solve this music royalty problem, and there was nothing that I could do. There was no trustless ledger, and none of the existing royalty accounting companies would work with us. Somebody said, "Why don't you do it on a blockchain?" And I said, "What the hell's a blockchain?" Rabbit hole into Bitcoin, rabbit hole into everything else. I bought Bitcoin actually from the world's first Bitcoin ATM, which is actually here in Vancouver, Canada. Did that, putzed around in the space. Didn't really get involved till like 2017. Built a couple of products, and then I got introduced. I built a couple of products in the bear market. One was actually a crowdfunding platform. Like, it was peer-reviewed due diligence and crowdfunding. It was 2-in-1, and somebody I know said, "You should talk to this guy Ganesh, who's building this data part that could probably power part of what you're doing." And I said, "All right, I'll talk to him." And we met, and Ganesh says, "I'm building, I'm taking all crypto data, all smart contract data, and putting it in a database." And I said, "That's a really good idea." I said, "Who's your customer?" He says, "I think it's going to be research, but I really don't know." I said, "Well, it's going to be a really good business at some point in time, because eventually people are going to need all that data, so it's good to start now." And lo and behold, here we are. And I guess we were both right, which is kind of nice.
Amazing. That's a really cool story.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, yeah, thank you for the brief overview on all that. And maybe like what problems did you see that existed to kind of help forge Covalent and make that happen?
I can take this on. So if you look at the history of databases, nothing has really changed in the last 40 years. And the standard there is the language of SQL, and then in the Web 2 space, it's APIs, REST APIs, which are the standard. And so when you come to the blockchain space, there's just a whole list of a laundry list of problems that you have to solve before you get to the data. And most developers are not interested in solving those problems. They just need a turnkey solution because they're interested in building, an NFT platform, or they're interested in building a lending product or some financial product or an art product or something of that nature. The data aspect is just grunt work. Think, 20 years ago, you had to set up your own servers and wire your computers and cool them. All of that is unnecessary when you can just go to AWS or DigitalOcean and one click and everything is ready. So that's really that's the experience we're trying to bring to Covalent. So there's no servers to run. There's no full archive nodes to run. There's no reason to decode the data. There's no reason to have DevOps to manage this. There's no reason to get pricing data. So we've combined everything into a neat little box. In fact, our product ethos goes as far as being able to use the product from the browser. You can literally go to the browser and try out the product, nothing to sign up, nothing to download, no lines of codes to write. And that's really the experience that we want to provide. So it's the fastest time and the shortest time to get to market. So that's really what we're trying to do at Covalent. And now as the multi-chain future is here, SUSHI itself is available on half a dozen blockchains. Developers really need to switch between multiple blockchains without repeating all of the difficulties they have with these different node providers. So in the case of Covalent, it's literally changing one character. It's really that simple. You change the chain ID and suddenly you can move from Optimism to Arbitrum to Ethereum mainnet to Matic to Harmony to, there are dozens of these blockchain systems out there. So that's really what we're going after.
Perfect. And yeah, so you've kind of touched on a little bit on kind of what it is, and maybe this is a good time to kind of tie into maybe more into the technical side of it, or like how it works and kind of under the hood a little bit.
Sure. So I can go pretty deep, but what I'm going to do is just keep it very high level on how roughly the system works.
Sure.
And maybe this is also a point about how we're different from other alternate solutions.
Absolutely.
Like the graph.
Sure.
So the key difference here is a philosophical difference, and we follow a paradigm called extract, load, transform. So ELT. And the graph follows a paradigm called extract, transform, load. So it's just the two characters are swapped around. So let me go into why this matters. So traditionally, what has been happening in the database pipeline system for the last 40 years has been ETL. That has been the state of art. So you extract from a data source, you do a transformation to answer a specific query, then you load it into another data store, and then you are able to answer those queries that you built during the transformation steps. So ETL. And that's been the state of the art for many years. But what has happened over the last decade is because of the advances with cloud native architectures, ELT is now possible. So what you do is you extract any kind of data source and load it all up into a database system. And then you do the transformation at question time, at query time. So that is the paradigm, and that's the philosophical belief that we have with these blockchain-based systems. So in the case of Covalent, what we've done is we've extracted out all of the data under the supported blockchain. So this is every balance, every transaction, every log event, every storage slot, everything. So one-to-one, we've copied out everything without even knowing what the use case is. And then we ask our developers to essentially create these transformations at runtime, at query time, and all the data is available. So there are multiple ways to think about this. from an analogy perspective, I think one way is to think about how I think Eric has an explanation here with how sovereign states do their data collection needs. But ultimately, this is what it comes down to. So in the graph, what happens is the transformation is done using a subgraph. So you need a programmer to sit down and write these transformations. I believe it's built in assembly script, and it's going to take you maybe a couple of days, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks to build that transformation. Then you load it into a data store, and then you're able to answer those questions. And if you need to answer a new set of questions, you need to go back to that transformation step and then rewrite that transformation. And then you have answers to these new sets of questions. In the case of Covalent, all the data is available. And then you just have to transform it and answer your question. So that's really what the key difference under the hood is.
I'll share my example. I was watching a documentary, and I went down a weird rabbit hole, and it's about how the American government does cyber hacks versus how the Chinese government does it. I thought it was really interesting, and it's almost exactly what we do, but we're not hacking things. We're just taking crypto data, which is public knowledge. The way the American government does, they go in like it's like a sniper rifle. It's like a surgeon, right? Like they go in and they say, okay, this is where we need this one file, or we need this one thing, and there's a whole elaborate plan that takes, that's years of planning just to get that one specific thing. Whereas what Covalent does is, or what the Chinese government does is, they just grab everything. They grab every file, as much as they can get their hands on. They pull everything, and then they sort out what they have later. So it's sort of up to you to decide, like, what is more impactful. Is it having everything, and then what we do is we grab everything and make it easy for people to query, versus spending the time to get exactly what you're looking for. So they're just two different answers to the same problem.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, thank you for that analogy. Yeah, kind of makes sense. So, so in kind of spinning off from there, how, like, when we're talking about this data and whatnot, like, how are you storing this data? Like, how do you make it accessible? Because it seems like that's a pile of data that you're connecting between everything, right? Between all these blockchains. So, from like a non-technical side of things, like, how are you able to, I guess, store all of it? Sure. And make it accessible.
So there are two phases to Covalent. There's the centralized version that is running and operational, that's been operational for the past couple of years, and then there's a decentralized version. But under the hood, what it basically is a massive database with all of the data stored in that database. So we use Postgres, which is a very popular database. And this Postgres database has billions of rows of data. I think it's tracking 6.5, 7 terabytes, which is a lot of data. And that's basically what's been, that's basically how the data is stored. And then our pipelines are constantly updating. So we are always 2 blocks behind on any supported blockchain. So in the case of Ethereum mainnet, we're 26, 27 seconds behind. In the case of something like Polygon, which the block time is 3 seconds, we're about 6 or 7 seconds behind. So we have this constantly updating massive database that keeps the data fresh. And with a decentralized version, what's happening is you're going to have hundreds of these databases just partitioned and sharded across the globe. And so this is going to be a global data substrate, if you want to call it that you can just query out, that for anyone to query out. So that's a little twist in the architecture to go permissionless and decentralized.
Okay, thank you for that. So who do you see as like your target audience, and like who would use Covalent?
Sure. So we have 2 primary audiences. Our API it's a developer product, so you need to be a programmer in order to integrate with it. But we've made it super easy. So our 2 target audiences are sophisticated devs who need access to data, and analysts who just need a CSV export that they can use in Excel. Right. So these are our 2 target audiences. So for the developers, what we provide is a simple REST API, and you can literally use the product from the browser. But if you look at 0x, Matcha, or Aave's marketplace, or Binance's marketplace, all of those products, all of the data comes from Covalent. So they all integrate with the API in a programmatic fashion. The analyst mode is more bespoke. These guys are searching for answers. So if you look through Twitter, you see all these novel use cases that even I could not have predicted. No one on the team knows like these are things you could do. So there, it's like a can of tomato sauce and pasta. It's up to you whether you make lasagna or something else. So just last week, we saw someone had calculated rolling floor prices for all NFTs, right? So classes of NFTs. So that's not something that our API supports out of the box, but they were able to piece together all the data that the API provides to provide this beautiful dashboard. You can see, if you look through Twitter, you look through our community, you look through our Discord, people are creating these novel use cases. So it's, I would say, remixing the data. So these are our two primary audiences. We don't really have a front end. We're not the product like CoinGecko or DApp Radar, even though those products do use Covalent under the hood.
Okay.
So lots of pieces on CoinGecko use Covalent.
Yeah, cool. That's good to know. Give us a little bit of an example of where it's being used. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. So when you're talking about all the chains and everything, what chains do you currently support? Are you indexing, and you have future plans to expand to other chains?
This is a question for Eric.
Perfect.
Yeah, there's a lot of chains we're talking to. So there's, it's funny because I was looking at SUSHI. I was on SUSHI the other day, and I was poking around, and I noticed all the chains you're supporting. I think we're going to support almost all of the same chains you guys are already talking to. I think we have a lot of the same. It's funny because I that's sort of my litmus test to see who you guys are supporting, in a lot of ways, and how I figure out how I'm going to push some of these conversations forward. It's an excellent litmus test. But yeah, stuff coming down the pipeline is we're going to be doing Clayton from South Korea. That's coming. We're talking to OKX. We're talking to Huobi for Heko. We're talking to a lot of. I mean, man, there's so many. We're talking to Neon from Solana, their EVM. So I guess at the moment it's been predominantly focused on EVM chains. So if it's an EVM chain and they're nice people, we're always open to working with them. We've had great relationships with a lot of these guys so far, and yeah, we're always looking to add more. I think Nervos is shipping a layer 2. I can't remember. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them coming. Today we work with Sovereign. We work with RSK. We work with Arbitrum. We work with oh my god, Moonbeam, Moon River. Those are both Polkadot parachains. There's a lot. There's no shortage of chains. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on them. There's just so many. We're pretty close to Avalanche. We're pretty close to Phantom. We're pretty close to Polygon. We work with all those guys too. Yeah. Well, there's just more and more and more coming on a regular basis. At some point soon, I think we're hoping to get out of EVM world and start doing things that are non-EVM. I'm pretty bullish about Solana. I'm pretty bullish about Near, and I'm super interested in Polkadot and Substrate as a whole. We've had some requests there, so I think it's just a resourcing thing. So if anybody knows Rust, wants a job, hit me up after this.
So yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for expanding. Like, it sounds like you're going everywhere. But when Cardano, sir?
When is something going to ship? I'm not saying that in a hateful way. I'm saying it more like we've had this conversation sometimes. Sometimes the traction is going to come, and then sometimes it's a gamble, and then sometimes we've worked with chains and we think there's going to be traction. And this actually hasn't really happened yet, but you think something is coming, or you make a bet and then you start poking around and you realize their block explorer is empty and nobody has shipped anything. I will not name names, but there's one blockchain I spoke to, and I was shocked how little traction they had after existing for a very long period of time. I was genuinely shocked that like there's literally nothing happening. We refer to them on our side as ghost chains.
Okay.
It's just like, how do you you have billions of dollars but nothing's going on. So that's sort of a litmus test for us, where we don't want, we're not that we won't get involved, but there needs to be traction. There's no point of having an indexer and us pulling all the data if no one's going to use it or do anything with it.
Note to self. All right. Thank you for that. So yeah, cool. Okay, let's. I think we've got a couple hands up. Let's see who's available here. Human, every time you're here, you never answer, so I'm going to bring you up. Let's see if I'm going to bring both of you. Human, hopefully you can answer this time. You've been trying the past couple of AMAs and never get up here. Damo, you're also here. I don't know if you can hear me. You can come up to ask your question. I don't think it's, no, not going to make it. Okay, we've got a couple things kind of coming in from the AMA text questions here as well. So, somebody was just asking, mentioned something about volume ingested data. Connection was bad and couldn't pick out the number. Do you mind just kind of giving that again there, Eric?
Yeah, so I've just been going through and answering some of these. So
Okay.
We just ingest everything. So we don't look at what we get. We do something. So this is why we work with EVM chains, and why EVM is in many ways kicking a lot of ass. It's just the most ubiquitous and widely adopted sort of a blockchain stack, and the tooling is there. Like everyone, there's so much tooling for Ethereum, and a lot of these other chains that are getting a lot of traction are just building off of that same thing. So like BSC, for those who are not familiar, runs an Ethereum virtual machine. Polygon, Celo, Moonbeam, a lot of these guys running that. That's how they're starting to get some traction. So the way our stuff works is we just plug directly into a node, and we just take everything. So if someone says, "Do you have this?" the answer is always yes. The question is, do we have an easy way to extract it? And so, Ganesh can touch on some of these features we're building out, but like we're building out different types of endpoints so people can extract data easier. Because right now the question is yes. It's like, I don't really have a good metaphor for this, but I was going to say, think of a swimming pool full of holes, but you don't really want to do that. I don't know. It's just, it's like everything is there. You just have to figure out ways to pull it out that are going to be very simple. And we haven't necessarily done that to the best of our ability yet. But it's coming.
All right. Yeah, so we've got another one here is saying, how about CIVM networks? Are we going to work or plan with them?
I've never heard of CIVM, so sorry.
Okay.
Sorry if I'm not
all good. And then I see this AQ.
I just want to expand upon that. The blanket answer to these questions is a governance proposal. So we teach people how to write these governance proposals for new blockchains. So there's just a checklist that we follow on our side. Is there traction? Do we have support from the foundation? Are there like 10 or 15 dApps that will co-launch with us, for example, right? So definitely, if there's a blockchain that you want to see supported under the Covalent umbrella, go through the governance proposal. And I think there's one for Solana and that we've been shepherding. So that's the right approach to get the chain indexed.
Cool. And so that's maybe a good point to pivot here towards voting governance, all that kind of stuff. With your token, I'm presuming that's how you guys are voting with the CQT. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Awesome. Do you want to just talk to us a little bit about the token and what you got going on with it?
Yeah, so the Covalent token is a utility token. It's a staking and governance token. What that means is that the decentralized network participants need to stake the Covalent token in order to participate and answer queries and index data. So the token has only been live for a few months. I think it came out in July, so it's very, very new. So it's not even a toddler. I think it's just starting to recognize faces now. But what we have is the governance proposals. This is a learning process for us as we're progressively decentralizing. And the actual first phase of the decentralized network is launching later this year, which is a novel piece of technology that we've built called the block specimen producer. So we've enlisted a couple of professional validators who can run parts of the Covalent infrastructure alongside us, and all of those validators will have tokens, and of course, existing token holders can delegate their tokens to these validators for a staking yield. But yeah, that's the token in a gist. CQT stands for Covalent Query Token.
Nice. Okay. Perfect. And that you can find that on SUSHI, of course. And yeah, we're on the Onsen program with that. So if you're looking to get the token or whatever, you can do that there. And don't be afraid to LP that thing too. So yeah. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. We had one question here from. Okay, we had. Dune has a free version available. Do you have something similar? I'm not sure what they're talking about with Dune there. Does that?
Yeah, I can answer that question.
Yeah.
So the way Dune works, Dune Analytics, which is a great product, by the way, it's a SQL interface. So you go into the interface and then write SQL, and then you are able to create these really beautiful charts that tell a narrative or share a story about the data. So maybe the Onsen program, where is the liquidity coming in? What is the size of the people who are coming in? So you can tell these stories. It's really beautiful for data journalism. So what Covalent focuses on is on APIs. So there's mostly for applications. And so we do have a SQL interface. Behind the scenes, it is a SQL product, but we just don't expose that charting capability because that's really not our focus. Our focus is on developers building applications. So, we do provide SQL access to a select few partners, especially people who are trying to, actually, in the case of SUSHI, if you want to understand the farming yields across blockchains, that's a question that is not easily answerable. You have to really dig into the data. So that's when SQL access makes sense. When it comes to the pricing options, the Covalent product is completely free. So it's going to be free at least until for the next 12 to 18 months. We're not going to charge developers to use the product. And after that, I think the network would have launched, and then it'll be network pricing. And I guarantee you that the pricing will be the cheapest ever because there's going to be competition and downward pricing pressure from the validators to provide the cheapest query fees. So that's what's going on the pricing and the economics of the network.
Cool. Thank you. Again, if anybody has questions, please raise your hand and we can get you up on stage and you can ask that way or keep bringing them in through the AMA text questions. So we're getting a few in there, so I do appreciate it. So, okay. I see you guys had like proof of education campaigns. You got a few things going on there. You want to touch on that?
Sure. So one of the novel aspects or one of the most exciting aspects about these blockchain-based systems is that they're participatory. You have to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty and engage with the community, engage with the product, engage with the process. And what ends up happening is that because this technology is so complicated, there's a very steep learning curve to actually engage. So this is where the proof of education campaign comes in. So we launched this, we envisioned this maybe a year ago. And the idea here was that let's teach thousands of people out there what this is all about. So it's not specifically focused on Covalent, but it's focused on just introducing new people. It's just this feeder stream of people who are getting excited about this stuff. So the proof of education campaigns, you can go to covalenthq.com/docs. There's a whole set of proof of education campaigns. Our flagship hackathon there is 1 million wallets. That's a wallet hackathon. So we've done this dozens of times with multiple partners. The most recent one was with Phantom. There were 3,000 developers who had participated in that hackathon, and you're asked to create wallet interfaces. So very exciting, like NFT visualization or staking assets, whatever it is. Like the data is data, right? You can display it in any fashion that you want. Another example is these case studies. So what's happening today is that these universities who want to teach their students fintech or blockchain data, what they've done is they've taken these case studies and packaged them as class assignments. So there's an example there with tether analysis, where you can verify that the data that is published by Tether on their website exactly matches what is on chain. So it teaches you step by step how to pull the data, how to analyze this, and so on. Likewise, we have one on oracles. We have a couple of other case studies. So that's really what this proof of education is. And these campaigns have been very, very successful for us because it gets a lot of people excited about the data and excited about blockchain-based systems. And I think it's a great entry point for someone to just to scratch at the surface.
Yeah, perfect. And when you're talking on oracles there as well, do you see a way to we're talking about TWAP for Cashi and whatnot. That's something that could directly be integrated with what you guys offer as well.
Absolutely. So the Oracle space is very interesting, right? So we are the opposite of oracles. If you look at an Oracle like Chainlink, what they do is they provide external data to the blockchain system, right? So external pricing data. What Covalent does is it provides blockchain data to the external world. So I would say we're complementary. This is where the classic, the handshake emoji comes in, right? That's I wish there was a visual here, but that's visualize the handshake emoji. So we're complementary in that nature. But what's happened over the last couple of years is that a lot of there you go, someone actually added a handshake emoji. What has happened over the last couple of years is very interesting. So the price discovery for these newer DeFi tokens has actually moved on chain. And so what you can do is you can use the liquidity and the pricing action happening within these bonding curves in the case of Uniswap or SUSHI or any of these AMMs, and use that as a pricing oracle. In fact, the newer generations of AMM have features where flash stacks do not screw up the pricing oracle. So this is where it makes sense to integrate with SUSHI's 2app. So we will definitely write a proof of education, or someone from the community can definitely contribute this. All the data is available. All you have to do is go to a log events endpoint and pull out every time there's a snapshot taken at the reserves. So that's basically how these things are built. So it should be pretty straightforward. Would love to see a contribution from the community on how to integrate it with SUSHI. The data is all there. It's just a matter of putting labels to data points.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. I know you got to run right away, Ganesh, but we'll try and keep you here and ask any further questions before you got to take off. So go ahead, Eric. I've been cutting you off a couple times.
No, it's cool. I think there's something else I wanted to add, which is not covalent. It's more of a paradigm shift, or something we're seeing that's super interesting. It's back to the proof of education, and like I said, this is less us and more of what we're seeing. Is that it's cool. We're at a point where we're at a certain scale where you have hundreds of projects who are building on Covalent, right? They're using us for their data. And what we're seeing is that the more successful these companies get and the more these companies scale, the more you start seeing things like grants go out. Hey guys, we need a grant for somebody who can solve this data problem. And what we're starting to see, and the funny thing is, some of these projects that are launching grants end up DMing us first, saying, "Hey guys, can you help us build this using your API because you have all the data?" And we always say no because we don't have the time, and you can't spend time helping one. Not that you don't want to, but you can't spend your time helping each customer with their make their product better. That's their job. And so a lot of our customers and a lot of people in our community, and even a lot of people who use us for research or other things, have been asking us, hey, is there anybody in your community that we can hire, or we can do something, or we can contract, or contract hire, whatever it is, just to literally use your product and pull data. And I've become more of the thought process that I think one of the ways crypto scales and more people can get off the fence and into the game is actually by not just understanding our product, because you don't have to be super technical. You just you can pull it into Power BI. You can pull the data into Power BI, Tableau. You just have to know what you're looking for. But I think every company at a certain scale, and I'm not saying 500 employees. I think it's going to come much sooner. It's going to need analysts and data scientists, even at a very rudimentary level, to be able to function and scale. Because in Web 2, you have these things like Google Analytics and all these great products that produce a lot of data, and there are people who understand them. And here we're not quite at that stage yet, but we're starting to see the formation of people starting needing to answer some of these really good questions and action some of this on-chain data to do something with it. So I've had calls with teams who are using us who are saying, I'm willing to hire somebody from your community if they can, if they can solve this problem. And I think it's really interesting for people wanting to get into the space, looking for jobs or looking for what they can do. Like Leilani is here, and she's an alchemist. Our program is called the Alchemist program, and she was an alchemist that we just said, hey, you know our product, you know how to do this, you can pull data. Do you want a job? And I'm really happy she said yes. We're all really happy she said yes. But you're seeing instances like this where it's not just us; it's for other projects. Like when we did the hackathon with Phantom, Spirit Swap, which is a project on Phantom, joined in, and they wanted to sponsor. They sponsored something. They sponsored their own bounty because they basically wanted people who understood the data side to build endpoints. And then they ended up hiring a bunch of people from the hackathon because they said this is awesome, and we need more people just to look at data. So I'm starting to see trends like that. So if there's anybody who's saying, hey, how do I go from, maybe passively investing, buying some tokens, and joining liquidity programs like Onsen to doing something a bit more in depth, I think there's a big opportunity, not where you have to go out and get a degree, like a 4-year degree, but more how do you learn a couple of skills. I'm super bullish on this. I'm super bullish, and I'm starting to see the trends firsthand. So somebody looking to do something, take that as some alpha. Go get out there, go do something.
Dang, look at that. So you guys are not only providing data on from blockchains, but you're also kind of providing a headhunter service in a sense as well. So very cool. That's good to hear that people are getting involved and being able to like create jobs from that. So that's very cool. That's very cool. This space is so cool like that. So
that's the thing though, is like you're seeing people who it's this weird thing where would they love to hire somebody who worked for Deloitte who understands all of these tools? Yeah, they would. But somebody from Deloitte who understands the tools doesn't understand crypto or doesn't understand what questions to ask in crypto. Right. And that's a whole other thought process. So if you can take your passion for crypto and do it to build some cool charts and some cool dashboards, there's 100% jobs for people looking to do that. All you have to do is be a data nerd, and people get a kick out of it.
Bullish on nerds. Let's go. Let's go. So awesome. Okay, if anybody has any questions here, let's please raise your hand. Don't be afraid to get up here and ask some questions. And through the AMA text questions as well. So I think we've kind of covered everything up there so far. And yes, Ganesh just had to pop off here. He's got another call, so I do appreciate him sticking around till the bitter end. So one other thing I wanted to ask about here was with RSK, and of course being on Bitcoin, and Bitcoin being a very almost foreign to DeFi and this whole ecosystem. What kind of connections have you got going on with RSK? Is that any of that connecting here? And I guess just maybe give us a little bit of insight on like what's RSK got going on.
Oh, man, so it's one of those things. I think there's okay. So here this is just my own. I won't say conspiracy theory tin hat or anything. I think there's going to be a massive. I still think we're early in the game in terms of blockchains and multi-chain. I feel like a lot of people who have bought Bitcoin and who are holding Bitcoin, you're seeing institutional people get in. I think there's going to be I won't be surprised if there's a resurgence of smart contracts in Bitcoin and a renewed interest because there's so many bag holders. who are just getting it. They're buying it at a premium, right? And they don't really necessarily want to believe in anything else. And there's a lot of Bitcoin maximalists. Like I know Sovereign, which is one of the bigger DeFi projects in RSK. They use this for most of their data, if not all of it. And there's definitely traction. There's definitely room in this world for that. I just think that for part of the question, we know them. We work with the team. There's a lot of projects who are looking to go multi-chain, as we're already seeing. They're EVM compatible. So for us, it was a couple of conversations. We like them. They're fantastic guys. The tech is great. What they've done with Bitcoin is brilliant. I mean, it's hard to place a winner, but I won't be surprised if there's a big resurgence of people wanting to deploy on things like this. Maybe it'll be another blockchain that's built off Bitcoin, or maybe I'm totally wrong and the future is all in it's all in ETH, it's all in Solana, it's all in these other blockchains. I don't know. I honestly don't know, but I think it's cool and it's novel. And I mean, we work with them and we pull their data. We are seeing that there is that niche of Bitcoin maximalists who do understand the merits of smart contract data, DeFi, et cetera. And they're using it, right? They're like, it's not like it's not getting used. I just don't think it's as talked about because, and most of the marketing and most of the hype and most of the exciting stuff is happening on the newer chains that are just more forward and more out there with what they're doing.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for touching on that because, for most people, when they hear Bitcoin, they just think boomer ghost chain, basically.
Yeah, but that's the thing is you don't know, right? And I don't know. Nobody knows what's going to happen at this stage of the game. I mean, I think we're all bullish on multi-chain, and I think a lot of these chains have just done awesome stuff. Like Avalanche is amazing, Phantom is amazing. Like they're all, Moonbeam is amazing. Astar is amazing. Like a lot of these guys have just built Ferraris in terms of blockchains. They're great. I just think it's a big world. And like to touch back on databases for a second, I think it's DBDB, like database of databases. There's hundreds of databases that exist in the world, right? Like there's so many. There people build their own random database with their own random languages all the time. They don't all catch on, and some of them just serve a hyper niche, but they exist. So I think, but that doesn't mean you can't build a sustainable business or a profitable business to do that. I just don't know what that's going to look like at scale, in like a year or two or 10 years.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for breaking into that a bit here because, a lot of cool stuff happening with all this and the more, multi-chain interconnectability, interoperability, chain agnostic. I don't know how you'd say that, but just being chain agnostic is, to me, I think is kind of a great way to be. Just take everybody, So.
I think we're all in this together in more ways than one. The community, the people building. I think it's going to be awesome. Like I think we're going to see some great stuff, and I think chain loyalism is there is something there. But I mean, like a lot of these guys working at these blockchains, you probably know this. They're all just trying to build the future, right? And it's like I think everyone's very open to collaborating, and it's like who's the best resources, who's the best team, who's got the best vision, what camp do you want to get in? And most people who are building token projects are inevitably going multi-chain anyways. Right, so it's like it's just sort of like where do you want to start and where you're going to end up are not always the same thing. Like we Covalent exists on ETH, but we've already had so many conversations about are we going to go multi-chain? What's it going to look like? What bridge are we going to use? How is it going to get collateralized? Like, are we going to to use different services? There's just so many opportunities, right?
Yeah,
it's not we're stuck to ETH.
Yeah, no, that's and that's awesome to hear. So. One other thing here coming in, does Covalent pull data on any new projects like Tokamak?
I'm not familiar what Tokamak is, but all we just sort of reiterate, what we do is just take all the data from the blockchains. We just take everything. So if it's a layer 1 or layer 2 EVM blockchain, we that you see on our website, we do it. If it's a specific project that is like a lot of these data projects, it's like I think somebody said, I know DApp.com uses us for some of their data, but somebody said, oh, do you pull data from DApp.com? And I said, no, it's sort of the opposite. We pull from the chains, and then they take it and turn it into pretty pictures or graphs and stuff on the web. But it's true. Like even if you look at a bunch of CoinGecko's data on the DeFi side, not on the market side, but on the DeFi side, a lot of that comes from us. And so if you talk, it's just they take it and they just turn it into pictures. That's what we do. All we are is just we're numbers in a spreadsheet. It's just a very organized spreadsheet with a lot of numbers and rows.
Cool. Oh, thanks for that. And I see Pratek is also putting that in there, saying Tokamak, we can use Covalent API for their liquidity mining data needs, and we support Ethereum. If they're on Ethereum. So perfect. Yeah. Well, I think we're getting close to a good time to wrap up here. If anybody has any final questions, please toss them into the AMA text questions, or if anybody wants to come up here and ask a question, raise your hand. I'm always like that when people get up here, but I do appreciate the AMA text questions coming in as well. So
Yeah,
I see a couple people typing, so maybe we'll just give that a minute. But I don't know. Is there any? I guess like future plans, implementations, or any extra alpha leaks you guys want to drop here?
Man, there's so many blockchains coming down the pipeline. Like there's so many. I'm super excited for a lot of the things that are coming. We're adding more blockchains on a regular basis. We sort of took some time off during this, so my first week, the first thing Ganesh said to me when I started is like, "All right, you're hired. You now have to go and figure out what blockchain we're going to settle on." So the token lives on what's it called on Ethereum, but the settlement layer, which is a longer conversation for later, we'll be publishing more stuff about this. Is on Moonbeam, which is a Polkadot parachain, which I know you guys are going to be working with. Sushi's going to be working with some. And so we did a ton of due diligence to that. And he said, "Great, your next job is to go get this token listed." And I'm like, "What?" So we had to, we all know the story. What happened? We did a second round. Binance, Coinbase, all those guys came in and invested some money. Hashed came in, led the round. I should always have to shout out to Hash and Delphi, everybody else that came in on that round. And then within the coin is, then you have to do the coin list sale, and then we do the listing. So now I think we're looking to get back into the groove of adding a lot more chains. So there's some really cool stuff coming. There's some other things we're working on, which are going to allow people who are building some open source projects. We're going to be open sourcing some stuff in the next couple of months to allow people to get product to market faster. We're really excited about that stuff. I won't go into any stuff, but like anything, if you're building dashboards, specifically DeFi dashboards, multi-chain DeFi dashboards, or if you're building NFT, like if you want to build NFTs to get, if you want to get wide array of market cap data for NFTs, we're building something around that. So you can just get it quickly. So once again, the whole goal is get people to market faster. Other things that are coming are, I don't know, like join our Alchemist program, or come learn how to get educated and make data.
Yeah,
make data.
And just swinging back there towards the NFT side of things, like Sushi's going to be having Show You coming out very soon, and I'm sure you guys will have some good additions for that.
Yeah, I know you guys are using us for some of the data for that. I don't know how much, maybe all of it. I'm not really in those conversations, but I know. There's a lot of data product companies using it.
Cool.
Or a lot of NFT products.
Yeah, awesome. And Covalent ever go public?
Will it ever go public? I don't know. Who knows how to do that? Does anybody want to help me with that? We can do it. We can DM me if you're a lawyer with some deep-rooted connections. We'll take it to the New York Stock Exchange.
However you guys want to do it. I do like things that just stay crypto native, but very cool. And okay, well, I think this is a great time to wrap up here. I sure appreciate you coming out here, Eric, and giving us all the information. Same with Ganesh. Thank you. I know he had to run early, but do appreciate him taking the time out of his day to make this happen. So I know you guys are super busy and you got so much going on, but this is awesome. This has been great. So where can people find you? What's your web address, socials? Where can they get you?
I wish I had a cooler Twitter handle. I've been thinking I should update it. I'm not as active on Twitter as I could be, but when I post, it's good. No, I'm joking. If you want to follow me on Twitter, @Eric Ashdown, that's my real name. not that exciting at Eric Ashdown. Follow, come into our Discord. Honestly, if you want to learn more, I'll shoot some links here, or somebody from our team will shoot some links here. They'll shoot it in the AMA. Where's the best place? The AMA questions?
Is that the best AMA place? Text questions is a great place. Right. That'll get captured there, so people can click the link, and then it'll also show up in the recording as well. And I think just covalenthq.com.
Covalent HQ is the website. Covalent HQ on Twitter. Covalent HQ everywhere. We're it's just come find us, be friends with us.
Perfect.
If you learn how to use our API. Satsa said, is the teaching program self-study or module or classroom? Right now it's self-study. We're putting together more things around this. We want to get more people involved. I know somebody who's a teacher in Turkey put something on Udemy, and it blew my mind when I saw it had 128 reviews about how to just use our product. It blew my mind. The whole thing's in Turkish. Go on Udemy and school. I was like, this is crazy.
Perfect.
So I think we need to figure out something, or if somebody wants to do that and build a real course, like a proper course, I'll DM me and I'll pay you $500, and I can tell, or we'll use it in our own marketing material. We'll get people to use it. We'll do something. But yeah, if you want to do that, we're very open to it.
Amazing. No, that's awesome. And okay. There it is, everybody. Covalenthq.com. Go there. You can get all your socials and connections that way. Find out more about what they got going on and how to get involved. And just want to let everybody know that we've logged whoever's been in here. If you've been in here for 10 minutes, you will be eligible for a POAP. So we'll open up the room here shortly after. And again, please, there's no need to flood it. The POAP is there waiting for you, and it is your own unique one. So no rush for it. You've got 30 days to claim it. Take your time. We don't want to crash the bot. It's been working really well. So, go gentle on it so that it can last forever, so that it can always work. So appreciate you coming in slowly. So I'll open that up here in, half hour or something like that. Just takes me a minute to go through and add everything in and collect all the links for it. But again, no rush there. Slower is better. So again, this has also been recorded and will be posted up on YouTube on the SUSHI official channel, so you can go back and check out everything that happened if you missed it or needed notes. And follow me on Twitter, 0xtangle, and keep up to date with any of the upcoming events. And we've also included SESH into our server based off of highly recommended from other individuals. So we're testing that out, giving it a go. If any issues or any kind of questions with that, anything further, please feel free to reach out to me. See Poopster messaging right now, and he's been good on a lot of this stuff. So hit me up, and if there's any ideas with that. So want to be able to have everybody getting involved, getting into these things as easily as possible. So alrighty. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you later.
Bye, guys. Thanks again.